Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on Journey to Wholeness, and today's title is What Are You Passing On? And I'm going to start in 2 Kings chapter 20, and in 1st and 2nd Kings is basically have been a rise and fall of a bunch of different kings that God has called and raised up to do something or to deliver somebody or something. So we're going to start in 2 Kings chapter 20. And the king of Judah now, his name is Hezekiah. And I'm going to start reading at verse 14. So here we have a prophet speaking to Hezekiah about a word that God gave him because of something that Hezekiah had done. So then Isaiah the prophet went to King Hezekiah and asked, "What did those men say, and where did they come from?" "From a distant land," Hezekiah replied. "They came from Babylon." The prophet asked, "What did they see in your palace?" And Hezekiah responds, "They saw everything in my palace. There is nothing among the treasures I did not show them." Then the prophet tells Hezekiah what the Lord has said because of what Hezekiah had shown the people of Babylon, which he was not supposed to do. So Isaiah says to Hezekiah, "Hear the word of the Lord. The time will surely come when everything in your palace and all that your predecessors have stored up until this day will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says the Lord. And some of your descendants, your own flesh and blood, who will be born to you, will be taken away, and they will become eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon." "The word of the Lord you have spoken is good," Hezekiah replied. I don't know why Hezekiah said that was good, because nothing about that was good, but he was thinking selfishly in the moment. And so Hezekiah showed the people of Babylon everything that he had in his palace, and that was a foreign alliance. That wasn't something he was supposed to do. So God told a prophet to tell Hezekiah that one day everything in the palace will be removed, and you and the people in the palace at the time will be made slaves to the king of Babylon. So we're going to move to chapter 24. And this is the chapter where everything that God spoke in chapter 20 came to pass. So in this time, Hezekiah is no longer king, but it's a man named Jehoiachin who is king. And at verse 10, it says, "At the time, the officers of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, advanced on Jerusalem and laid siege to it. And Nebuchadnezzar himself came up to the city while his officers were besieging it. Jehoiachin, king of Judah, his mother, his attendants, his nobles, and his officials all surrendered to him. In the 8th year of the reign of king of Babylon, he took Jehoiachin prisoner. And Nebuchadnezzar removed the treasures from the temple of the Lord and from the royal palace, and all the gold and articles that were in the temple, just like how the Lord had spoken." So when we move to chapter 25, verse 27, we see that it says, "In the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the year of Marduk, king of Babylon, he released Jehoiachin, king of Judah, from prison." So it's been 37 years that King Jehoiachin and everyone in Jerusalem was exiled from Babylon. And now the new king of Babylon's name is Marduk. And as I continue to read, it goes down to say that Awal released Jehoiachin from prison. He spoke kindly to him, and he gave him a seat of honor higher than those of the other kings who were with him in Babylon. So Jehoiachin, verse 29, puts aside his prison clothes, and for the rest of his life ate regularly at the king's table. Day by day, the king gave Jehoiachin a regular allowance as long as he lived. And I was reading it, I was trying to figure out, why would the king of Babylon do that for Jehoiachin? Jehoiachin is his prisoner, and Jehoiachin and Babylon are enemies. Why would one day the king of Babylon release Jehoiachin, seat him at king's tables, and allow him to receive regular allowance for as long as he lived? It didn't show that God turned the heart of the king of Babylon like how he turned the heart of Pharaoh. So I was just wondering, why would he do that? And I read down below, like in the description, it says that Awal Maduk was a descendant of David. It says that a descendant of David remained alive. And I just thought to myself, well, they wouldn't mention that Awal is a descendant of David for no reason. They mention that because it has some significance. And after King David died, every time that his name was mentioned in the Bible after his death, it was when the Israelites was getting ready to do something crazy, or somebody was getting ready to do something crazy. And it was a time where God showed mercy, and it was a time where God showed grace and forgiveness. There are times where God said, but because of my servant David, because of King David, because of the covenant that I made with David, I won't allow this to happen, or I won't allow that to happen, or I will allow you to reign for this long and for that long. So to me, them mentioning that Awal was a descendant of David was a connection to favor. So that shows me that living my life the way that God has called me to live it allows favor to be passed on from generation to generation. It allows favor to affect people that I may never meet. So I know that in my generation, I can't speak for all. I can only speak for the one that I live in. But in my generation, I see a lot of people, including myself, talk about, generational curses and generational chains, and, wanting to be the person to break that and wanting to be the person to do something different. Reading all of this showed me that one of the greatest things that I could pass on from generation to generation is my faith. And there's nothing wrong with, passing on financial blessing because I am a recipient. But I think that my faith today is one of the greatest impacts that I could have on my family for in the future. So I just hope that this video encourages people to believe God, to trust God, and to live your life the way that He has called you to live it, because it doesn't just bless you, but it blesses others. And I think that's something that I have been learning and paying attention to the most, is that everything that God has been calling me to do, it hasn't been centered around my wants and my needs, but it's been centered around, helping other people with their troubles and helping other people deal with the same things that I may deal with in life. So if you enjoyed the video, you should like, share, and subscribe, and leave comments below, and see you next time.